Good morning, everyone. We are just going to wait a moment as others get into the room. Welcome to Brunch and Learn with Community Action. This is November 1st, All Saints Day 2023. Welcome to Brunch and Learn with Community Action. So each month, we do these Brunch and Learns as a way to look at one big community need. What is the community doing across nonprofits, businesses, government agencies? What are we doing to work together to meet that community need? And then we zero in on what is community action's part. How are we working better together than we can on our own to improve the situation for our neighbors in Skagit County? So today we are really excited to feature, as we do every November, Skagit Vets Connect, to honor those who've served and their families. And today we're going to learn a little bit about what are those resources available, what are the needs, and what are the resources available for veterans and their families in Skagit County. So welcome, everyone. We actually have 6 speakers today. We're very excited to have Jamie Thornberry, who is a veteran and a board member with Community Action, Carmina Villalobos and Vernon Hunter, who work with Community Action, Chris Diaz, who is county veterans staff, Kelly Blau, who is an employee of the Veterans Administration, and Mariana Brandt from our own Community Action Senior and Disabled Volunteer Services Program. So as we get started, a reminder, I'm going to be sharing my screen. I'm Liz Jennings, Director of Community Engagement at Community Action of Skagit County. And I'm going to be sharing my screen occasionally to show you where to find this information on Community Action's website, on the county's website. And then we will have time for questions and answers afterwards. I want to thank Isabella Ordonez and Josh for helping with the video and keeping an eye on the chat box. We are going to be together today until just about 10 o'clock. So at Community Action of Skagit County, our mission is to stabilize lives and equip people to get ahead on their goals. And as you all probably know, these Brunch and Learns have a lot of Community Action staff, our community partners and supporters, volunteers, and others. And as you probably know, we have wraparound resources to help individuals and families who are struggling to make ends meet, to help them meet their goals and get ahead. And some of our programs focus in on particular populations. And today we're really excited because we get to celebrate. I know that we've had veterans services at Community Action for quite a long time, but since 2019, we've had what we call Skagit Vets Connect. And that is a program that is located in Burlington at 160 Cascade Place. Can everybody see that screen, the website there? All right. And you'll notice that this is in front of that Skagit Vets Connect office, and you'll see the face there of Robert M. Gates, who is a Skagitonian, a Skagit resident, and also former Secretary of Defense. He's got a big heart for veterans, and he helped fund and launch Skagit Vets Connect. And right now, a remodel so that we can expand the number of staff who are helping veterans and their family. So I'm going to ask Isabella if you can put the link for Skagit Vets Connect into the chat box. You'll all notice that, again, it's located in Burlington, but the services we're going to talk about today are not just for people who can make it to Burlington. These services are available to any veteran and families in Skagit County who can pick up the phone or email. It's not just services for people who are able to walk into that office. But before we get into it, let's start and hear a story. So Jamie Thornberry is a volunteer and one of our board members. At Community Action, we've got 12 volunteer governing board members. 1/3 of our board of directors by regulation must have lived experience in the issues that Community Action works on. And we actually have almost half of our board of directors have lived experience. And Jamie, you started out as a volunteer at Vets Connect and then became a board member. Can you tell us just a little bit of how you got involved with Vets Connect and why you serve as a volunteer?
Okay, so originally I would have gotten involved with Vets Connect through Susan Brisby and the VASH program through Community Action. I know it's VA, but Community Action houses the office there to help that out. So that's where I originally came in with was Susan, but I found out about volunteer services that I could apply and you guys could decide to hold me in a volunteer position within Community Action. And I really wanted to do that because I had learned a lot about different people in the offices and was really comfortable. So I volunteered for Skagit Vets Connect when at its inception in June 2019. So I started off with it and I volunteered a pretty steady once a week. I did have a break once in those 4 years, and now I'm taking a break for a little bit now, but in that time, I got to know everyone in the Vets Connect office: Vernon, Carmina, Kelly, Susan, Erica. She was a claims processor. There was a couple other people. Chris, he's in there, and the Community Action family is always just is how I'm always going to look at Community Action. To me, that's going to be the Community Action family because they've always been there. Like you're talking about with the wraparound services, they kind of like in the same way, like a hug, even like that picture, everybody does wrap you around like in their arms there. And so, but very professional.
And
I was,
Jamie, when you said that you came in through the VASH program, that's a VA, United States Veterans Administration program. And VASH is an acronym. We're going to get a lot of acronyms today, and I'll try to stop us and ask what they are. But why did you come to Vets Connect, and why did Susan help you with the VASH program? That's basically like Section 8 for veterans, right?
yes, I was. I came homeless out of my. I had to flee the county I was in at the time. Everything's great. It's many years later. So the Veteran Assisted Supportive Housing is what VASH stands for. And if a veteran is homeless, and it was me and my oldest son, then they will bridge you into housing. So, which is everything. Like once you hear those words and you know, like, and how the seriousness of being taken care of so that you can get back up on your feet.
And you've had stable housing, you've volunteered, but you actually have stepped back a little bit in volunteering because you're pursuing your education. Tell us what stable housing has allowed you to do. What have you been able to accomplish?
Well, okay. Really, it was a lot of the self-acknowledgement. I know there's some better words than that, but it is that I am able and could do and become and grow into anything with the right support system. And that is the community of veterans in the county, but it for me, it comes from and came from through Community Action. So
You've
yeah,
gotten, is it an associate's degree? Is that right?
I'm in my junior year. Yes, at WWU, I'm in my junior year, and I got 2 associate's degrees. And so,
You've got 2 associate's degrees, and now you're studying what?
human services, my bachelor's for human
You're
services.
going after your bachelor's for human services. So I think if everyone can do a woohoo. Thank you, Jamie, for volunteering, for being a client who came back to volunteer, and now you're a leader in our organization on our board of directors. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And I want to acknowledge that Jamie also shared her story at our Spirit of Hope fundraiser last March, and we are so grateful for that. We are going to move on and hear a little bit more about the services at Community Action, but first, or at Vets Connect rather. But first, we often start with talking about the community need. Now, veterans are very diverse in Skagit County. There's a lot of different experiences of folks transitioning from service back into the community, and some folks do hit some struggles as they're transitioning back, and others don't. But later in life, maybe they need some help and they don't even realize that they might qualify for some benefits that they didn't access earlier in their life because they didn't need those benefits or services. So in Skagit County, there's around 10,000 veterans in the county. And I think in past years, Skagit Vets Connect, which is community action staff, Vernon and Carmina, county veterans staff, Chris is going to tell us about that, Chris Diaz from the county, and U.S. Veterans Administration. So we've got a nonprofit, we've got the federal government, we've got county government who come together at Skagit Vets Connect to provide these holistic services. And in a given year, that team has over 1,000 touches with veterans and their families. At Community Action, all of our services, including Vets Connect, we serve actually close to 300 veterans last year through energy assistance, our Women, Infant, and Children program, Seniors and Disabled program, Vets Connect. All of those programs together have served quite a few veterans. And I'm going to start with Carmina. I think you might be one of our most, how shall I say, most senior, most experienced staff members. How long have you been working with veterans through Community Action?
With Community Action, I started doing the Veterans Assistance Fund back in summer of 2008.
2008, and in
Yes.
2019, Vets Connect came together. So you've seen this coming together of all of these resources. When somebody doesn't know what they might need and they pick up their phone and they call Vets Connect, what are some of the situations that you hear about that folks are in when they pick up the phone and call Vets Connect?
Pretty broad. We have from a lot of the phone calls are for claims and benefits through the VA, needing housing, needing food assistance, just guidance on how to access a lot of the community resources.
So information and referral, that's a key piece. The information and referral, making sure people know what's available for them. And then if those folks that call or walk in, they might, if they've hit hard times, those are the folks that you might be working with. What types of services do you provide, Carmina?
Again, they're very broad. If it's somebody comes in a crisis, it has been great to have the VA social workers because that's kind of their expertise, and we work together so greatly. So if they're available, we try to have them meet that crisis situation and then kind of see what the next need is. If it's somebody sometimes they're not homeless, they're just going through a difficult time with their family. And so sometimes just having those conversations and letting them know that we're here, we can make a huge difference.
So just being, where should people go to get that next, whether it's a light touch service or more intensive case management, like working with a social worker?
Sorry, I think our internet was down, so you kind of froze and I didn't catch the full. Yeah, so our internet connection is unstable, so I lost the first part of the question.
Well, no problem. Carmina, can you just maybe tell us about one person or one family that has come in the last few weeks or months that really stands out that you'd like people to know about?
Sure. So just this last few weeks, we've been working with a senior spouse of a veteran. This veteran was home. He's disabled, so she was coming in seeking services. Shortly after she started coming to see us, the spouse was in hospice. So she was having to deal with all that, and also she was needing to do some repairs in her home. She owns a manufactured home and a mobile park, and they were really pressing for her to do some repairs she needed to do. And so she was dealing with already her ill husband and hospice and just the whole situation. So we screened her for Veteran Assistance Fund to see if we were able to assist with the repairs and help in that, and then address other issues. So I was working with her at the same time. She was trying to apply for benefits. So Chris was working with her on VA benefits. And we also saw that she would probably be a good candidate for a sub-program we have under VAF, which is a senior stipend, which helps seniors on a monthly basis to cover their rent so they can sustain. And so now she's working with Vernon. So just kind of the wraparound services we were able to do for her, the quick response for the repairs. Okay, now maybe there's some VA benefits for her that would help her, and then helping her with the rent.
So you see a person come with one need, you help to meet that need, and then you wrap around those resources. And I'm just going to acknowledge to everyone else here today that Carmina private messaged me and said, hey, we don't have a front desk person at the moment. I might have to step away to greet walk-ins, because number one is customer service at Community Actions Vets Connect. So thank you, Carmina. And I will do a plug at the end of our session today. We're going to talk about what folks in the room can do to help. And one thing you can do is let people know that Community Action is hiring for that front desk person, a care coordinator to help with that information and referral. So if you know someone who's compassionate and is excited about wrapping people around with services and connecting them to multiple resources, they can apply to be Carmina and Vernon's coworker and work with Chris and Kelly and everyone else at Vets Connect. So thank you, Carmina. I'm going to turn now to Vernon, but first I'm going to acknowledge Carmina spoke about VAF, and that's the is that Veterans Assistance Fund? Is that what it's called?
Yes, Veterans Assistance.
And that is a county fund, right? That's a county fund that has an advisory board, and Chris is going to tell us a little bit more about that. So our Skagit County commissioners and Skagit County government are a huge partner in Vets Connect. And that VAF funding is flexible so that Carmina and others at Vets Connect can figure out what is that veterans need. So it's important to acknowledge that we're a nonprofit organization, but we're helping to put public resources to use to support those veterans and their families. Vernon, tell us a little bit about your role. What's your title, and what do you do at Vets Connect?
Oh, thank you. And Jamie, we miss you. And that example Carmina gave us is why I'm here. You know, we all work together in this office, and that wraparound service that you just described to everyone, Liz, is what we strive for. My job here is I'm a care specialist here, working with the veterans. Carmina is the Veterans Assistance Fund coordinator, and she provides emergency assistance to our veterans, whether it be food voucher, rental assistance, or whatever. But a lot of times that one-time service doesn't help. It helps. However, they probably need it for 3 months, 4 months, or whatever. And that's when Carmina assigns them to me, and I become a stability coach. That's what I call myself, to try to help the veteran go over budget, try to get some excess income out of their budget. So I assist them with the budget, and also a lot of referrals that will help them with some other benefits. My main job over here is the Veterans Liaison. We are going to have quite a few partners over here. We have a total of 4 right now, but we have renovation going on in our office right now for 4 offices here. and we're right in the middle of it. But we're going to have a total of 7. And my job is to liaison with our partners and provide them the support that they need for the facility and any other efforts that they need us to assist them with. So that's my main job. And Liz, if you don't mind, I just want to talk about what we did last year quickly, if you don't mind. Last year, we had 883 folks that came through our office or over the phone for services. Whether we provided a service, it could have been a referral, it could have been a question, whatever, but that's part of that 883. Claims and services, we did a total of 558 total claims and services, and that number is between Chris and I. Chris is a benefits specialist or advocate. I'm a VA benefits specialist or advocate as
And
well.
what's a claim for somebody who isn't familiar with the whole world of veteran services? What does it mean to do a claim?
Good question. Our veterans who join the service, they sign a contract, and also the federal government signs that same contract. They go out and we work 24/7. We put our lives at risk, and then a lot of times we get injured or develop an illness. And what happens after that is now this portion is the government that we need to take care of our veterans with the illness and injuries that occurred while they were on active duty. So we have to file a claim, benefits claim, in order to do that. And also for very low income veterans, we file for pensions, things like that. So there's many other areas in education, home loans, so forth. There's quite a few that VA will help our veterans with. So we become the specialists, the advocates to get these people enrolled or get a disability claim approved for them. That's our goal. So that's part of our claims and services.
And Vernon, you said we. Can you tell us a little bit about how you came to this work yourself?
Yes, I retired from the military in 2013, and I had other aspirations, and that did not work out at the time. And I started volunteering helping veterans. And I loved it so much. Then I saw Community Action came up with a position, and Carmina was here, and they hired me along with some other folks, and she trained me, and I'm still here. And loving every bit of it. It's a great satisfaction to be able to help any veteran or anyone in this office. So that's why I'm still here. And that's how I started this position over here.
Well, can you just talk a little bit about that relationship? Like, why is it so important for veterans to see those smiling faces and to have folks with experience that they share? What is it like walking into Vets Connect and actually talking to someone who knows what they've gone through?
Very, very good question again. Our motto here, Skagit Vets Connect, people walking through our door. In the past, a lot of veterans have had a hard time with veteran fairs. Some of the old staff that used to be around, and we all change, and they have changed, and they're continuing to change. But we started off with gentle and kindness when you come in our office. We suspect that you have gone through something, and we're going to reach out and help as much as possible. And that's through a smile. That's through care. And I tell you what, since we've been doing that, the veterans keep coming back. They keep referring to us. And I say, okay, we're going to do this. Is this going to make an impact? Yes, it made an impact. That's why we have what did I say? 883 veterans that come through our door, and they've been referred and or over the phone because of that type of reputation. And I tell you what, Chris is going to have an opportunity to speak. He brought a lot to the table to really, really help us improve helping our vets as well. So I'm on board. The rest of us on board. We have a smiley face over here. And I also personally want to thank everyone online right now that support our veterans, especially during this time of the year. Thank you so much. A lot of our veterans have really put in a sacrifice, and they need to be recognized and they need to be taken care of.
And Vernon, before we turn to Chris, it's not just veterans, it's veterans' families. And sometimes the veteran isn't around anymore. Maybe they weren't one of those vets who reached out and signed up for benefits. What can Vets Connect do for veterans' families?
Yes, veteran families. If you go on our website, you'll see we support veterans and veteran families. Those are the spouses that are married, the spouses of the veterans. And unfortunately, a lot of times, a high percentage of our veterans pass away before who precedes the spouse. I may have said that wrong, but anyway, the spouses around. So we support that effort. Veteran Affairs has what is called dependent indemnity compensation. They're not familiar with it. Some veterans are, but we bring in the spouse, and then they get roughly half of, if they were 100%, half of the income of the veteran for the rest of their lives. And there's some eligibility requirements and things that go along with that. So Carmina just brought up that spouse, and that's, helping a veteran family is just great, because the spouse, when they come to us, they are distraught, and we know how to calm them down. Chris does the same thing. Carmina does the same thing, and make them feel relaxed. I got you. And that's our attitude. And we tell them, you just focus on what you have to do with your family, and we'll take care of the rest. And that's what we do.
Thank you, Vernon.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I love this picture that you all are painting of the partnership. And Chris, the county is such an important part, Skagit County. There's some letters involved in your name or in your title. I'm going to ask you to explain what those letters mean and what your role is at Vets Connect.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Diaz, Skagit County Veterans Specialist and Veteran Service Officer. I provide services with everything, basically all agencies, all. I help people get connected through all agencies in our county, state, and federal levels. And on top of that, I follow up with a lot of, like this morning, I was calling the VA about like Vernon talked about, a DIC. We have a spouse that needs assistance, and for some reason the claim got jammed up at the VA level. So I'm behind the scenes calling them up and saying, hey, why are we jammed up? What else do we need? So that takes a little bit of time. But yeah, so the VSO is Veteran Service Officer. I did throw some acronyms and definitions in the chat just to help out too, so follow along.
And so a big part of what you all do at Vets Connect is helping people navigate through complicated systems, letting people know they're not alone, that if they're having a frustration, you can say, hey, I've worked through the system before, I can help you figure something out. Now, I understand that, there's Carmina, there's Chris, there's Vernon, there's Kelly and Susan, who will talk about, and soon there's going to be more folks. Tell us about the growth in the county's veterans programs. What is that? How is that going to change? What is that going to add for veterans and their families in Skagit County?
Sure. So I applied for Skagit County to be a Vet Corps Navigator site, which we brought on Eduardo Estevez who is now working here at the office with us as well, travels with me all over the county if he needs to, goes to meetings. So that way I don't have to just do all of it by myself. So he's a huge help. He's working at the front desk right now to make sure we can keep this meeting going while he's listening. He's an Army veteran himself, brand new child, married here in the county. So they're great people. Staff Sergeant Fox Grant is a definition also in a website in the chat. Richard LaFlazier was hired on by the Washington Department of Veteran Affairs, and his area of responsibility is Island County, San Juan, Skagit, and Whatcom. And he's also a accredited veteran service officer like myself, so he can help with some claims with those veterans. So, for example, this weekend I was busy, and so was Richard, and so was our sheriff's department mental health specialist with a veteran, and we were able to help this veteran get through a hard part of his life, and now he's receiving services from that program. And then the WDVA is also opening a job for a accredited veteran service officer whose area responsibility will also be the same counties as Richard LaFlazier. That should open in a couple of weeks, and they will hopefully come in and out of our offices here at the Vets Connect, and I'm trying to get them connected over with Carl at the Anacortes Senior Center, where I visit monthly. Carl and I think we have a good relationship so far, and they're great. They're super supportive. We get lots of vets, and just by having Carl and the Anacortes Senior Center in my visits, we're actually able to take a veteran from the streets into housing with wraparound services between AFC, Senior Center, Community Action, VSOs, Helping Hands. I mean, everybody came together in the county for this one individual, and this person has a roof over their head. So, and they're still there.
And I want to acknowledge you're mentioning Carl Wolfswinkel and the Anacortes Senior Center. And of course, Anacortes, because of its proximity to the naval base, has a lot of retired military and their families there. So powerful partnerships across the county. And Chris, you mentioned that you travel. I understand in addition to being there at Vets Connect in Burlington and doing outreach in other places, you also spend some time in East County at Community Action's East County Resource Center. Can you just talk a little bit about the different kinds of needs you see in more rural areas? Are veterans finding the resources they need in rural areas of Skagit County?
Yeah, so they're finding the resources between myself, Chandra, and staff for connecting people with out there in East County. We do have we did the public health department actually teamed up with Community Action to do a community outreach out there last month, which was a great turnout. I actually talked to 5 new veterans, one veteran that I already knew, but which is great because a lot of these veterans are living in the rural area that they don't get communication the same way we all do in Mount Vernon and Burlington. So that's a little bit trickier out there. One of the things we talked about is transportation, getting people moved to their medical appointments. I let them know that I'm still in work with Skagit Transit trying to get vans or some kind of grant from one of these oil companies to say, hey, we need an ADA van to move our vets to their appointments because our Vietnam era is on the decline, unfortunately, and we need to really step it up in our county to make sure that they're getting the services to the appointments they need and not just trying to figure it out on their own all the times.
Well, thank you for all that you do, Chris. And we're going to turn now to our friends with the Veterans Administration. So we've got Community Action, nonprofit staff. We've got county staff, going to be 3 county staffers. And I want to acknowledge that that's possible. We're remodeling the space to add more offices in the office in Burlington, thanks to Robert M. Gates and a generous donation that he made in support of veterans and their families in Skagit County. And Kelly, you are not the first Veterans Administration social worker in Skagit County, and not the first with Vets Connect. I think she's not with us here today, but Susan Brisby deserves a huge round of applause. Can you just tell us who Susan is and what she's done here in Skagit County?
Yeah, good morning. I'm Kelly Blau with HUD-VASH, And Susan Brisby is our senior social worker with HUD-VASH. And gosh, she's been in Skagit here since, I think, 2014. I'm pretty sure 2014. And prior to that, she was actually in Vancouver and Portland, Vancouver, Washington. So she's had a pretty extensive career with the VA, and she's retiring at the end of November.
And I just want to say a huge thank you to our federal delegation for getting us those VASH vouchers. That's VA, the housing support for homeless veterans. And I also want to acknowledge that community action moved into developing housing because there's not enough affordable housing in the county. When we had homeless veterans and others looking for housing, we often couldn't find some place for them to go. And so Cascade Landing is Community Action's new 34-unit apartment complex. It's actually on the second floor of 160 Cascades Place, Cascade Landing apartment homes, and several of those units are now occupied by formerly homeless veterans. And so we're so happy that the Veterans Administration is a partner in that and getting people housed all over the county in other developments. And Kelly, you have a master's in social work. You've been in Skagit County a long time. How did you start working with community action, and what's your role now with Vets Connect?
Yeah, community action, and I go way back. I did 3 terms of AmeriCorps with the staff who were at Community Action, all under that umbrella of housing, and kind of grew a passion for the work and ended up working in SSVF for a couple of years, and then realized I wanted to take it a little further. So I went back to grad school and now find myself in HUD-VASH, which was my dream job. I'm going to be here. So it's nice to see a bunch of familiar faces.
So what are some of the challenges that a veteran who's experiencing homelessness has? Why is it important for them to have somebody focusing on their needs?
Yeah, I think that, well, the number one challenge we face is a lack of affordable housing in Skagit County. So it's always good to have somebody supporting the search and the sort of stoking those partnerships. Yeah, can I tell you about what that experience would look like and a little bit more about HUD-VASH?
Yes, please.
Okay, HUD-VASH, it's a fancy acronym for Department of Housing and Urban Development, VA Supportive Housing. So it's a partnership between HUD and the VA and our local housing authority. And so HUD provides the housing choice vouchers, otherwise known as Section 8 vouchers, and to the housing authority, and then VASH staff fill them. And so right now we currently have 85 vouchers. We're just within the last, this is like a little over a year ago, we got 30 more, which is a really big deal. It's why we got a third social worker coming on board here. 10 of those 85 are project-based, which is very new in the last year here. We have 8 at Mount Vernon Family Housing up on College Way, and a little bit further west on College Way, we have 2 at Martha's Place. Those have filled a really critical need in Skagit County here, especially for veterans who experience chronic homelessness. So when a veteran is experiencing homelessness in Skagit County, hopefully they end up at coordinated entry. That's where everybody should be directing them. Referrals can come from anywhere, but almost always they're going to be directed to coordinated entry, where they're going to pop up on our list that we look at every week, and we'll select folks for the program as we have openings, and there's we look at need, and so then we meet with them, screen for service. They get a voucher and lease up, and then the meat of the work begins. And our Susan and I do almost exclusively home-based care, so they get home visits more frequently at first once they're housed, and then increasingly less as their stability increases. And so during that time, we're connecting them with our community partners like Vern and Carmina and Chris, and the housing authority, and all like a lot of people who are here today. Actually, we really heavily rely on these partnerships. And then we're also providing varying levels of case management depending on need, and we use evidence-based models. Excuse me, housing first, psychotherapy, motivational interviewing, harm reduction, and we get to use the VA medical system, which is super awesome because we can get all this background on folks before we even meet them. So it really like can help guide care appropriately. And then we can connect directly to their primary care provider and their specialty teams. And then we're the liaisons between the housing authority and the landlord, the property manager. And so it's got this ongoing thing. And let's see. So as long as a veteran remains eligible for VASH and follows the rules of the program, retains their housing, they can keep their vouchers. So it's really cool to have these like really long-term relationships with veterans. There's no hurry to like accomplish X, Y, Z by like this deadline. We can really like build kind of a slow, solid rapport and really like, you know, sit with them through hard stuff. And yeah, we get pretty close, and it's pretty awesome. Sometimes folks they can graduate from case management and retain their voucher, or sometimes folks become ineligible, such as going over income, in which case the voucher comes
So
back
it's
into the community.
housing and
Use it again.
services, and the
Mhm.
housing can be ongoing even if they don't need those support services anymore.
Totally. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kelly. I think you did a really great job of illustrating that client-based, the person-centered approach that the whole Vets Connect team has, and putting that person at the center of solutions. And you also really described those long-term relationships, which is something that we really emphasize at Community Action. And some of those relationships cut across programs. So some of our, like our energy assistance program has long-term relationships with veterans. And another program that works closely with veterans is our Community Actions Seniors and Disabled Volunteer Services. I got the whole name right. So Seniors and Disabled Volunteer Services, Mariana is the coordinator of that program. Not everyone you work with, Mariana, or your volunteers are veterans. You're one staff member, you've got an army of volunteers whose goal is to help people, elders and people with disabilities, to live independently at home. And that's no personal care, no health care, but can you just say a little bit about what Seniors and Disabled does, and maybe tell us a story about one of the veterans you've served?
Absolutely, and it is a mouthful. But yeah, so it's a Senior and Disabled Volunteer Services program, and through the help of our community members as volunteers, just depending on what kind of volunteers we have and their availability, we can do different things like housework or transportation services, running errands, yard care if someone is in need of maybe some lawn mowing, some minor moving assistance. We used to be able to do some of those big project moving seniors or adults with disabilities into different homes. Right now, we're more about running things if they need something to go to the dump or to storage units, with the hope that maybe in the future with more volunteers, we can help with those activities as well. And also,
I'm just
like,
going to do a
yeah.
timeout, because if people didn't notice, that's one of our asks today, is if you would like to volunteer or know somebody who'd like to volunteer, we can serve more low-income seniors, more adults with disabilities, more veterans, if Mariana has more volunteers. So Mariana, can you just tell us a brief story about a veteran whose life has been touched by your program and by a volunteer?
Well, actually, just recently, just to demonstrate partnership and referrals and things like that, I got a referral from Chris in an office nearby me regarding a veteran who was needing to get to Everett at the VA place, and he needed some transportation. And I reached out to a couple of volunteers, and one of them, a long-term volunteer that we've had that's volunteered with us for about 11 years, stepped to the plate and said that she could do it. And so he was able to get his health care that day. Yeah.
Amazing. And lives are changed because of volunteers. And I'm so grateful that we've had a couple of volunteers, former volunteers and current volunteers on this call today. Now, there's another area, kind of a line of business for seniors and disabled, and that's firewood. And many of us who take it for granted that we can turn the heat on when we get up in the morning don't understand the stress and the anxiety that can come from not knowing if that heat's going to come on the next day. So I know that your program, Vets Connect, you all connect whoever you're working with to screen them for energy assistance, because most of the folks that we work with are going to qualify for energy assistance. And there are some seniors, adults with disabilities, veterans who heat primarily with wood, or who have wood as their backup heat source when the power goes out. So I know that we've got some really generous folks in the community and generous organizations, and one of those is the Port of Skagit. Can you tell us about this really awesome, innovative program that's helping them not waste wood and helping seniors and veterans stay warm in the winter?
Yes, huge shout out to Port of Skagit. Jeff Hammer reached out to me sometime earlier in the year. And they had, they have a lot of maintenance that they do, a lot of property. I forget how much mileage that they take care of, but many, many acres. And they were having to, pay to get rid of wood. And they just thought that there must be a better way to use this, a better resource for it. So they reached out to Community Action and then partnered with me to just get that firewood out to either seniors or veterans and those that are in need in the community to heat up their home and stay warm over the winter. So it's really exciting. We're having an event on November 10th, and we have a good amount of lists. About 80% of them on that day are going to be veterans, and the rest are seniors, and are going to be there. We're going to be helping loading up the wood, and people are going to be able to stay warm.
So this is amazing. So this is wood. The port owns lots of property across the county, and there's windstorms, things happen, trees fall down, they have to clear trails or other areas. And previously this would go into the waste system, and now they're actually using port property in Cedar Woolley to store it, and port staff and other volunteers are helping to split it. Volunteers are loading up their trucks, taking it to those who have a need. So again, to anyone on the call, one of the asks today, we actually don't need more volunteers on the 10th. Yay, Mariana has got enough volunteers for the 10th, but Mariana can use volunteers all year long. So a couple of the asks today are volunteers, and also, again, employment. You heard the county's hiring, Community Action is hiring for Vets Connect. If anyone's interested, reach out and we'd love to connect you to those resources. So we only have about 10 minutes left, and I know that there's been active conversation going on in the chat, which I have not been able to monitor. Does anybody have any questions that you'd like to ask of Vernon, Carmina, Chris, Kelly, Mariana, or anyone here? Just take yourself off mute and hop in with a question if you'd like. Or I'll look to Isabella or Josh to let me know if there's any unanswered questions in the chat. I think Chris has been staying up on it and giving folks the answers they need.
There was one question by Debbie about outreach to veterans, I think, who kind of need to get to either like a severe weather shelter or to like welcome home or overnight safe parking. Is there any type of program like that to get veterans to?
So the question is about what resources are available, immediate emergency services, not just long-term services for veterans experiencing homelessness. Is that kind of the question?
That kind of seemed like the vibe that Debbie can.
And Chris, I think you were jumping in. Do you want to talk a little bit about resources for veterans who are in immediate crisis or experiencing homelessness right now?
Yeah, so the best thing is to email Madeline Anthony, and I put her email in there and asked to be added to the outreach meetings that we do every 2 weeks. Information comes out in that outreach about shelters. She's working on a lot of different things last year and this year, and there's more shelters available for the winter days. You know, when summer comes, summer days, stuff like that. So if you want to be on there's immediate shelter, email Madeline. Anthony just asked to be added. You don't have to go to the outreach meetings if you don't want, but you do have, community action does have people that show up there. So hopefully that information is getting passed out to you guys as well, as far as shelters and all that kind of stuff.
So I think two things is, if someone knows a veteran who's in immediate need, there's never a wrong referral to Vets Connect or Community Action. If somebody's looking for a shelter, we'll get them connected with what shelters are available right now. And then Chris is talking about, if you want to be a part of the solution and to help with that outreach, there are these every 2 weeks meetings for outreach folks. And it's a good opportunity for us to also do a shout out. Community Action Street Outreach and Recovery Navigator program. They're not in office, they're out on the streets and in the woods. They're meeting with people one-on-one. And in fact, if you know somebody and want to make that referral so that they get connected with somebody right away, I'm going to share my screen. You can call or email our Recovery Navigator and Street Outreach program, or you can make a referral online. There's this online referral. So maybe you're like, hey, I've been chatting with a veteran down the street who doesn't have a home. I've been chatting with him or her. You can give a description of the person. If you know their name, you can give a description of what they might look like, where to find them. So there's never a wrong referral to any of these programs. There are folks there to try to help connect people right now and to get them into services. And then, as you heard from Chris, there are folks who are coordinating together, churches, nonprofits, government agencies, all working together. And that's the group that Madeline coordinates. So huge shout out to the county and to Madeline Anthony for organizing those shelters, and to all the partners who make the referrals. Any other questions for the team here? I think I saw somebody put some information in about the Veterans Day Parade. Does somebody want to give a shout out about that event to honor our veterans?
Sure. Yeah, I didn't know if this would be an appropriate place to do
Go
it,
ahead,
but yeah, so Veterans Day Parade taking place in Burlington, Old Town Burlington along Fairhaven. It starts at 11 a.m. Although the application says the application deadline has passed, we are still definitely taking applicants. So if you know anyone that would be interested in participating, or would like to participate yourself, I put the email address to reach out to in the chat box, or just come on out and support veterans and their families by watching the parade. The American Legion is also hosting a breakfast at the Burlington Senior Center. I believe their doors open at 8 a.m. for that. And then the American Legion Auxiliary is hosting a lunch at the American Legion Hall. And I think that starts at 12. Is that right, Chris? 12 p.m.? Okay. So any other questions about it? Just the emails in the chat box. We'll happy to answer.
Thank you so much. The City of Burlington and the Burlington Chamber have always been great supporters of veterans. And you mentioned American Legion, and I'm going to go back to Chris, and I know April's here. There's a lot of different veterans organizations, and they all collaborate through the veteran. Chris, tell me the name of it. Veterans, is it the VAF?
Yes, it's a veteran stand down.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about that collaboration?
Yeah, veteran stand down was developed or came about by 2 Vietnam veterans down in San Diego, and that's how it started. Now it's just a big thing. I put a link in the website as well to learn more about it. In our area, we don't have as many veterans on the streets as like Seattle does, so we've had to modify our stand down. But we had 10 of us vets headed down to Bothell. Got jackets, boots, all kinds of things. We had wraparound services. Our Richard, one of our members, he put it all together again this October. We've done 2 this year. Next one's in April if you want to be a part of that. Showers, laundry trucks. We're working on the dental again. DSHS that was there one day. I mean, we're community action was there, right? Vets Connect. Helping Hands, 9 Line. I can go on and on. I think we had 106 veterans sign in, 87 volunteers and vendors sign in on the list, and we share that information with Whatcom County, Island County, if San Juan wants to get into it. That way, we're all working like one good engine, nice oiled grease, so we can send vets up to Whatcom if we need to, on a special, get them a bus ride. Let me tell you, Skagit Transit has come through multiple times with free rides for our vets if they need it, right? So that's a really good thing to have from their home to the fairgrounds and back from the fairgrounds to their home. Now we're going to work on like, how do we get vets back to their home with all the new stuff they have, the food they have, and all that, all the new services that they're ready for. So I'm excited for April 19th and 20th, stand down coming in, and I hope I'm starting a committee on that. So hopefully we'll have a committee of people that have ideas and new things, and we'll expand.
So say that again. The next stand down is when?
April 19th and 20th of 2024.
And reach out to Chris if you want to be a part of that planning group.
Yeah, we're going to put a committee together, and that way we have more eyes, more ideas, and more services, plus growth. We're growing. We're probably going to get the building next door to the building we use this next time because we're getting so big.
Thanks, Chris. And April, you're a longtime partner in all of this work. I believe you've got an announcement to make as well.
Yeah, we're also promoting Operation Greenlight. I know the county is a part of this. So what we do is the week leading up to Veterans Day, November 6th through the 12th, we ask everyone to put green lights out on their porch or some kind of green light that's visible for people. I've been working with a bunch of the businesses and nonprofits to try and get them light bulbs. So like the chamber, they don't have an outside light that my bulbs will fit, so they're using a lamp in the window. But it's just a green awareness to make us, the county, aware of how many veterans we have and how much we support veterans and the struggles of veterans and the resources for veterans and everything veteran related. We just want it to be people to be aware and associate that with Operation Greenlight. And we love it because it's leading up to Veterans Day, so it'll get some potential excitement for the parade and all the activities like that. So I have green light bulbs. If you want one, just reach out.
Thank you, April, and thanks to all the partners. Any other questions for our Skagit Vets Connect team? Well, thank you all. I can see the names of those who are here today, and I know what most of you are doing, which is a lot for the veterans, low-income seniors, and others in our community. Thank you for helping to stabilize lives and equip our neighbors to get ahead on their goals. And thank you so much to the Vets Connect team for really embodying what community action is promoting, called care coordination, which is putting the person at the center of solutions and providing information, tools, skills, and motivations for those folks to take steps towards their goals. So thank you all so much, and thank a veteran today and on Veterans Day. Thank you, everyone.